Chosen one. You are not here by accident. Something in the spirit has pulled you into this moment because heaven has a message carved specifically for you. Anointed one, you are standing at the threshold of a supernatural shift, a divine rewiring that is preparing your body, your mind, and your spirit for what is coming. This is holy timing, not coincidence. Even now, the atmosphere around you is changing, aligning you for a financial breakthrough and a divine wealth transfer ordained before you were born. As Scripture says, those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. Today, that renewal begins with you. Chosen one. Something has been stirring inside you long before you pressed play on this message. You may not have had the words for it, but your spirit has been whispering that change is near, that heaven has begun a quiet rearranging beneath the surface of your daily life. You felt it in subtle ways, a strange lightness one moment, an unexplained heaviness the next, a sense of being pulled inward while everything around you continues at its usual pace. And even if no one else noticed, you did. Because, anointed one, when heaven begins a rewiring, the chosen always feel it first. This isn't imagination, it isn't coincidence. What you're experiencing is the beginning of a supernatural overhaul, a divine recalibration preparing you for what's coming. I say this with reverence and with certainty, because I've walked through seasons where God shifted things inside me so quietly, so gently, that only later did I realize He had been preparing me for something massive. And that is exactly where you are now standing, between who you have been and who heaven is shaping you to become. There's a reason your body has felt different. A reason your energy rises and falls in ways you can't explain. A reason you've outgrown certain environments, conversations, even habits that once brought comfort. You're not deteriorating, you're being redesigned. You're not losing yourself, you're being returned to your true form. When God prepares a chosen one for a new realm of authority, He doesn't just touch the spirit. He rewires the entire vessel, the mind, the emotions, the nervous system, the pace, the perception, the instincts. Everything begins to shift because everything must match the assignment. And chosen one, let me tell you a truth I learned in one of the hardest seasons of my life. When heaven is preparing you, you rarely feel prepared. You feel pulled apart and reassembled. You feel like old strength is fading while new strength is forming. You feel like the person you were can no longer survive the place you're being sent. I remember waking up during a time of divine transition, feeling like the world was too loud, like my soul was too tender, like familiar paths suddenly felt foreign. I thought something was wrong with me, but nothing was wrong. Everything was being made right. You're in that same sacred corridor, now the place where God stretches you into your next dimension without announcing it first. The place where heaven begins whispering instructions your body hears before your mind understands. The place where little things begin to feel prophetic, a breath that suddenly feels easier, a morning that feels lighter, a moment of clarity that comes out of nowhere. These aren't random. They are indicators, signals, signs that the divine rewiring has already begun. Anointed one, heaven is not just restoring you. Heaven is preparing you for impact, spiritually, emotionally, and even financially. Yes, financially. Because the next move in your life is not small. It requires capacity. It requires alignment. It requires a vessel that can carry weight without collapsing. God does not release abundance into a misaligned frame. Promotion without preparation becomes punishment. That is why He is touching your body, your rhythm, your appetite, your thoughts, even the way you see yourself. Nothing is being wasted. Every shift in you has purpose. You've been sensing a financial shift on the horizon, a breakthrough, a transfer, a provision that does not match your current circumstances. And maybe part of you doubted it because the numbers didn't make sense or the opportunities looked too few. But hear me clearly, heaven moves first in the unseen. Before promotion touches your bank account, it touches your identity. Before it arrives in your hands, it arrives in your spirit. Before God gives you more, He makes you more. This is why your appetite for mediocrity has died. Why you no longer tolerate environments that drain you. Why your spirit rejects conversations rooted in lack, fear, or smallness. Something inside you has begun to rise, not arrogance, not entitlement, but divine clarity. You are being positioned to steward increase, not chase it. To hold wealth, not fear it. To carry abundance without losing yourself to it. And for that, your entire vessel must shift. Chosen one. Heaven is rewiring your body so you can receive what's coming without breaking under its weight. You're not just entering a new season, you're entering a new stature, a new spiritual height, a new financial dimension, a new clarity of purpose. And heaven is not asking you to strive your way into it. Heaven is asking you to surrender your way into it, to allow the process, to trust the symptoms of transformation, to stop calling the adjustment period an attack when it is actually alignment. This first part ends with a simple truth: you feel different because you are being made different. And the change is not subtle, it is supernatural. You are not preparing for what was, you are preparing for what has never been before. Chosen one. As this divine rewiring deepens, you may have started noticing the quiet unraveling of the life you once knew, not in a dramatic collapse, but in subtle shifts. The way certain conversations suddenly feel too shallow, the way familiar routines feel strangely outdated, the way you sense heaven pulling you inward while the world tries to keep you busy. This inner shift is not instability. It is heaven's fingerprint on your timeline. You are being transitioned into a new spiritual frequency. Anointed one. The truth is simple: when God rewires your destiny, He first rewires your inner world. Before your finances shift, your spirit shifts. Before new opportunities appear, old versions of you dissolve. Before increase arrives, the capacity for increase must be built. And that is what you are feeling: the weight, the stretching, the quiet reorganization happening beneath your thoughts and beneath your skin. There was a season in my life when the same thing happened to me, a season where I woke up feeling foreign to myself, as if my spirit had outgrown the container my life was still shaped around. People around me couldn't see it. On the outside, everything looked the same, but inwardly, I could feel God disconnecting me from places where my potential was shrinking, from habits that dulled my anointing, from fears that disguised themselves as comfort. And when I finally surrendered to the shift, instead of resisting it, the breakthrough that followed was so divine, so precisely timed, that I knew none of it had been accidental. Chosen one. What you're experiencing now is that same shift, but at a greater level. Heaven is not simply adjusting your atmosphere. Heaven is upgrading your entire spiritual ecosystem. You may feel yourself becoming quieter, more observant, more sensitive to energy, to timing, to spiritual nudges that you used to ignore. You might feel a growing desire to unplug from noise, to minimize unnecessary conversations, to protect your peace with a seriousness you've never had before. This is not isolation, this is insulation. God is cocooning you, shielding you, preparing you for what your spirit already senses is coming. And yes, the body responds. You may wake up at unusual moments as if summoned. You may feel fatigue that doesn't match your activity, or bursts of strength that don't match your sleep. you may experience a strange pull toward rest, stillness, or silence. This is your system being recalibrated. God is not just preparing your spirit, He is preparing your vessel to hold a new measure of glory and a new level of blessing. Even your breath is being tuned. Even your nervous system is being stabilized. The rewiring is happening on every level. And let me tell you why you are being prepared for a supernatural financial elevation. Not the worldly kind based on hustle, strain, or burnout. No, this is the kind of increase that requires spiritual capacity, mental clarity, and emotional maturity. Heaven is entrusting you with abundance not just for you, but for the assignments tied to your name. You are being shaped into someone who can steward wealth with integrity, purpose, and discernment. Someone who doesn't worship money, but wields it as a tool. Someone who replaces fear with faith. Someone heaven can trust. For too long, scarcity tried to shrink you. Lack tried to convince you to settle. Worry tried to occupy space in your mind that was meant for revelation. But now those old patterns cannot stay. Heaven is breaking the spirit of fear around provision. Heaven is healing the emotional wounds connected to not having enough. Heaven is teaching your spirit how abundance feels, so you don't sabotage the blessing when it comes. Your desires are shifting. You want peace instead of approval, purpose instead of distraction, growth instead of comfort. You feel less attached to things that once drained you. You're drawn to clarity, to silence, to environments that don't suffocate your potential. This is maturity, chosen one. This is the shaping of someone who is stepping into a season that requires more of them and will reward them more than they imagined. And hear this with the fullness of your heart: you are not losing pace. You are syncing with divine timing. You're not late. You're being positioned. You're not falling behind. You're being refined. Heaven is removing the people who can't go where you're going. Heaven is closing doors that lead to detours. Heaven is reshaping your instincts so you can recognize opportunity when it appears and not doubt yourself when it's time to act. Chosen one. Everything in you is aligning. Every shift, every ache, every moment of discomfort is part of the process. You are not declining, you are evolving. You are not unraveling, you are unfolding. And the version of you that is emerging has spiritual weight, emotional depth, and divine clarity. You are stepping into a realm where breakthrough is your normal, where provision flows with alignment, and where purpose dictates every step you take. This is your spiritual metamorphosis, a sacred reconstruction. And heaven is nowhere near finished. Chosen one, as this divine rewiring continues to unfold inside you, something deeper is happening beneath the surface, something that even you have not fully recognized yet. Heaven is not only shifting your energy, your rhythms, your instincts. Heaven is expanding your capacity, and capacity, anointed one, is one of the most sacred indicators that a divine elevation is near. Because before God trusts you with more, He prepares you to hold more spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and yes, financially. You may have noticed that your spirit has become more alert. You can feel the difference between peace and pressure faster than before. You can sense dishonesty, low vibrations, and hidden intentions before a single word is spoken. This is not paranoia. This is discernment being sharpened to surgical precision. Heaven is upgrading your spiritual intelligence because where you're going, clarity will protect you more than connections ever could. This is the part of the journey people rarely talk about, the part where God enlarges you inside long before anything changes outside. The part where your inner world becomes too awakened to tolerate what once felt normal. You become more sensitive to the tone behind someone's words, the atmosphere in a room, the silence between conversations. Your intuition becomes louder, your patience becomes shorter, and your ability to read spiritual environments becomes almost instantaneous. This is what happens when heaven prepares a vessel for supernatural assignment. And yes, chosen one. This next chapter of your life is supernatural. It is not built on logic credentials or earthly qualifications. What is coming to you is coming by divine alignment. Doors that were locked for years will suddenly open because heaven has spoken your name. People who overlooked you will begin to sense your elevation long before you announce anything. Opportunities that once seemed unreachable will begin to orbit your life. You will not have to chase, you will attract. Because divine rewiring always leads to divine magnetism. But here's the truth. Most people never hear the greater the blessing, the deeper the internal rewiring required to carry it. For you to step into supernatural influence, your vessel must be prepared to sustain supernatural weight. And this is why your emotions have been shifting, why your reactions are being purified, why your heart is being softened in some areas and strengthened in others. God is clearing out the residue, the fear, the resentment, the comparison, the anxiety, so that when increase arrives, it does not crush you from the inside. I went through a similar season years ago, long before I understood what God was doing. Everything familiar felt foreign. People I thought would walk with me started drifting or revealing parts of themselves I had never noticed. My sleep changed. My appetite changed. My thinking changed. At first, I fought the transition trying to hold on to what felt predictable. But the more I resisted, the heavier I became. Until one day, I realized that God was not punishing me, He was preparing me. He was removing what could not live in my next chapter. He was breaking the ceiling inside me so that what He wanted to release outside me would have room to grow. And chosen one, that is exactly what is happening to you right now. Heaven is stretching your capacity because the blessings assigned to your name are too heavy for the version of you that survived the last season. You are being constructed into someone who does not bend under pressure, someone who does not crumble under disappointment, someone who does not fold in the face of uncertainty. God is building stability in you, real, unshakable spiritual stability. This divine rewiring is also shifting your relationship with time. You're beginning to understand that delay does not mean denial, it means design. You're noticing that blessings hit harder when they arrive in divine timing, not human timing. You're beginning to release the timelines you built out of fear, out of comparison, out of panic. Instead, you're moving with grace, with trust. With faith that knows deep down, if heaven hasn't opened the door yet, it's because the room on the other side is still being prepared and anointed. Let me tell you a secret. This maturity you're cultivating is the very thing that positions you for supernatural financial increase. Heaven does not pour wealth into hands that are trembling with fear, bitterness, or instability. Heaven pours into those who can give, who can steward, who can discern, who can bless without losing themselves. You are becoming that person not through willpower, but through divine reconstruction. Have you noticed that your thoughts about money are changing, that fear is being replaced with clarity, that anxiety is being replaced with strategy, that survival mode, thinking, is dissolving, and a new mindset, a kingdom mindset, is rising within you? This is a sign that God is preparing you not just to receive wealth, but to hold it with wisdom, to use it with intention, to multiply it with grace, to bless others without being drained. This is the kind of rewiring that precedes supernatural promotion. Chosen one. Every spiritual elevation comes with a physical echo, and your body has felt it. The tension, the heaviness, the fatigue, the sudden energy spikes the urge to rest, the urge to reflect. These are not random. Your body is learning to operate on divine rhythm. Your nervous system is releasing old trauma patterns, so heaven can pour peace into places where fear once lived. This is holy work, happening in real time. And hear this clearly, you are not falling apart, you are being reassembled. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. God is not pulling things out of your life to leave you empty. He is making space so you can finally receive what has been yours in the Spirit all along. You are being shaped for influence, for impact, for increase, for legacy. And you are closer to your breakthrough than you think. Chosen one. As this divine rewiring unfolds even deeper, you may begin to realize that heaven is not only shifting what is inside you, heaven is also shifting what surrounds you. It's subtle at first. People you once felt close to no longer feel aligned with your spirit. Environments you once tolerated now feel spiritually heavy or strangely uninviting. Conversations that once entertained you suddenly feel empty, draining, or irrelevant. This is not a sign of pride. This is not you changing for no reason. This is your spirit outgrowing frequencies it was never meant to remain in. Anointed one. When God elevates a destiny, He also elevates the atmosphere required to sustain it. You cannot carry the next level of your calling in environments built for your previous version, and that is why heaven has been quietly rearranging your relationships, your patterns, your preferences, even your emotional reflexes. You are being prepared for a realm where discernment is your compass, peace is your protection, and spiritual clarity is your currency. There is a kind of heaviness that comes not from exhaustion, but from misalignment. And you've felt that heaviness, haven't you? The heaviness that comes when you stay too long in rooms where your spirit cannot breathe. The heaviness that rises when you try to explain your growth to people who only understand your old version. The heaviness that whispers, "It's time to move." This heaviness is not depression, it is divine direction. I remember walking through a similar season where everything inside me began to shift, while nothing outside me made sense yet. I didn't understand why God was pulling me away from people I loved, opportunities I had prayed for, or routines that once brought comfort. It wasn't rejection, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Heaven was removing the noise so I could hear the instruction. Heaven was shutting old doors so I wouldn't accidentally walk back into a version of my life that could not hold the blessings I was meant to receive. Chosen one, you're experiencing that same sacred separation, and separation always precedes elevation. Always. Your mind has been shifting too. The thoughts that used to overwhelm you suddenly don't carry the same weight. The insecurities that used to speak loudly have lost their authority. The fears that once ambushed your heart now feel strangely powerless. And this isn't because your life magically got easier, it's because heaven is strengthening your inner foundation. You are becoming grounded in ways you never were before. You are learning not to panic at the first sign of uncertainty. You are learning to pause, breathe, and listen instead of reacting out of fear or habit. You are becoming someone who doesn't crumble under spiritual pressure, but someone who commands their atmosphere. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. This is a sign of divine rewiring. And while this inner rewiring happens, heaven is also preparing the outer breakthroughs that will follow. Every spiritual shift eventually manifests as a physical shift. Every inner awakening eventually becomes an outward unfolding. You may not see it yet, but threads are being pulled, doors are being marked, and opportunities are being carved in places you have not even imagined. Anointed one, you need to hear this. Nothing you have lost was wasted. God never subtracts without planning a multiplication. Every person who left made room for someone who can walk with you in purpose. Every delay made space for a blessing that needed divine timing. Every closed door redirected you to an entrance you would have overlooked on your own. The path you're on is not broken, it's being rebuilt. And sometimes the rebuilding feels like isolation. Sometimes it feels like silence. Sometimes it feels like God has taken you off the grid while everyone else seems to be moving forward. But isolation is where oil forms. Silence is where instruction comes. Hiddenness is where heaven prepares the chosen. You are in a season where your spirit is being trained for supernatural promotion. You're being taught how to hear God beyond noise, how to trust God beyond logic, how to move by alignment instead of anxiety, how to choose destiny over distraction, how to walk into abundance without losing humility, how to hold power without letting power hold you. Chosen one, your financial breakthrough, the one you've been sensing, the one your spirit keeps feeling, even when your mind doubts it is directly tied to this season of spiritual recalibration. Heaven is not only preparing you to receive, heaven is preparing you to sustain, steward, and multiply. This is why you've been feeling the urge to clean your space, organize your thoughts, simplify your life, and release clutter both physically and internally. This is why your spirit feels restless in old patterns. This is why you crave clarity, purity, truth, and alignment. Wealth flows where order lives. And God is establishing order within you so increase can rest upon you without slipping away. But hear me clearly, you are not being prepared for ordinary levels of blessing. What's coming carries legacy. What's coming carries responsibility. What's coming carries impact beyond you. That is why the rewiring feels intense. That is why the stretching feels relentless. That is why the pruning feels personal. Heaven does not prepare mass-produced destinies this way. Heaven prepares vessels of influence this way. Chosen one, you are not just stepping into a new season, you are stepping into a new identity, a new authority, a new dimension of purpose. God is not asking you to survive this transition, He is asking you to surrender to it, because what's waiting for you on the other side is greater than anything you've ever imagined, and you are closer than you think. Chosen one, as this divine rewiring continues, you're beginning to realize something profound. The transformation happening inside you is not simply spiritual, it is structural. It is altering the architecture of your life. Heaven is rearranging your foundations so that every part of you matches the magnitude of the future God is leading you into. And this is why the shift feels so personal, so consuming, so unavoidable. Heaven is not renovating you halfway. Heaven is rebuilding you entirely. You may have noticed lately that your tolerance has changed. Your spirit no longer permits what once slipped through unnoticed. Conversations rooted in gossip now feel poisonous. Spaces filled with confusion feel suffocating. Patterns that once comforted you now feel like cages. It is not because you have become judgmental. It is because your spirit is awakening, maturing, elevating, and it refuses to sit in places where God is no longer present. Anointed one, this is what spiritual growth feels like in real time. It's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it feels like subtle discomfort, a gentle inner pulling, a quiet shift in appetite. You don't crave the noise you once tolerated. You don't feel energized by the chaos you once normalized. Peace no longer feels foreign to you, it feels like home. And disruption, discomfort, distraction, they now feel like invaders. You are being refined by the same hand that is preparing to reward you. There is a version of you emerging that is stronger than your fear, wiser than your wounds, and more stable than your past. This version of you does not apologize for its clarity. It does not shrink to fit old expectations. It does not negotiate its worth to keep anyone comfortable. This version has been forged by fire, shaped by storms, and carried by grace. That is the version heaven is raising, and chosen one, that is the version heaven needs for what is coming next. Because the blessing you're approaching is not small, it is not symbolic, it is not simply encouragement, it is substantial, weighty, transformative. It is the kind of blessing that will touch your finances, your influence, your relationships, and your generational line. It is the kind of blessing that shifts bloodlines, realigns futures, and awakens dormant gifts. This is why your journey has felt so heavy. Elevation always begins with excavation. God removes the counterfeit before he places the authentic. He removes the unstable before he releases the abundance. He removes the draining connections before he sends the divine partnerships. He removes distractions before he releases destiny. And sometimes that dismantling feels like loss. But chosen one, hear me clearly. What God removes is always lighter than what he plans to release. There was a time in my own life when God started stripping away things I thought I needed. Friendships I cherished dissolved. Plans I had been certain of were disrupted. The path I thought was mine suddenly vanished beneath my feet. I felt abandoned until the blessing came. And when it came, I realized God had not removed anything. He had been making room all along. If he had released the blessing into the life I had back then, it would have crushed me. But the version of me he rebuilt, that version, could carry it with grace. And chosen one, that's what this divine rewiring is producing in you capacity. Your finances are about to shift, but your mindset must shift first. Heaven is preparing you to hold wealth without fear, without guilt, without sabotage. You are being trained to make decisions from wisdom, not survival. To spend from purpose, not panic. To invest from clarity, not desperation. This is why the old anxiety around money has started to crumble. This is why you no longer resonate with conversations rooted in lack. This is why you feel a quiet boldness rising in you about your future, because heaven has already declared abundance over it. There is also a physical component to this rewiring. Have you noticed your body craving different things? More sleep, more hydration, more calm, more stillness. Your nervous system is being soothed. Your energy is being rebalanced. Your body is preparing to operate at a higher spiritual voltage. Heaven does not elevate a person without strengthening the vessel that will carry the anointing. And the emotional part, the unexpected waves of reflection, the desire to heal old memories, the need to forgive people who never apologized, this is not weakness. This is God clearing emotional space for new joy, new relationships, new purpose. You cannot carry old bitterness into a new blessing. You cannot carry old wounds into a new assignment. You cannot carry old fear into a new dimension. Your heart is being rewired for trust. Your mind is being rewired for clarity. Your body is being rewired for endurance. Your spirit is being rewired for overflow. Chosen one. What is happening to you is rare. Heaven does not restructure a life unless something extraordinary is coming. You have been marked for an elevation that will not make sense to those who only know your old chapter. You have been chosen to walk in a blessing that your bloodline has never seen before. You have been woven into a divine timeline that is now beginning to unfold. What you feel right now is not confusion, it is acceleration, not chaos but construction, not endings but entrances. You are being prepared not just to receive breakthrough, but to become breakthrough. And heaven is not finished. Chosen one. As this divine rewiring continues its deep and deliberate work within you, something profound is beginning to take shape beneath the noise of your everyday life. This is not simply an emotional transition or a temporary spiritual awakening. This is a complete reconstruction of your inner world, a holy reformatting designed to prepare you for a future that carries far more weight, influence, and responsibility than anything you've held before. You can feel this shift inside you even if you cannot yet explain it. Heaven is not merely adjusting you, heaven is rebuilding you from the inside out. You may have noticed recently that the world around you feels different. The noise that once consumed your mind now feels distant. The people who once shaped your decisions no longer hold authority over your spirit. You've begun to withdraw inward, not because you are isolating, but because you are aligning. Heaven is tuning your inner frequency, sharpening your discernment, and expanding your awareness so you can recognize what others overlook. This clarity is not accidental. It is part of the spiritual upgrading required for the dimension you are stepping into, one where discernment will matter just as much as opportunity. Along with this clarity, your emotional responses have also begun to shift. Situations that once triggered anxiety now bring reflection. Circumstances that once overwhelmed you now reveal your strength. People who once disrupted your peace no longer have access to your emotional center. This is evidence of your spiritual nervous system healing and stabilizing. You are no longer controlled by fear, insecurity, or old wounds. You are becoming the kind of vessel that can hold weight without collapsing, pressure without breaking, and responsibility without losing yourself. God is fortifying your inner architecture in preparation for what He's about to place in your hands. Chosen one, your identity is also being rewritten in this season. You are shedding roles you took on out of survival, not purpose. You are releasing labels that were never yours to carry. You are letting go of identities shaped by pain, by people, and by past seasons that no longer represent who you are becoming. For the first time, you are beginning to see yourself without distortion, without the influence of old wounds or old expectations. This clarity of identity is crucial because the next level of your calling requires you to know who you truly are, and just as importantly, who you are not. As your identity shifts, your desires are shifting too. You no longer crave a life that merely looks successful. You crave one that feels aligned. You want relationships that nourish your growth instead of draining your spirit. You want work that activates your purpose instead of suffocating it. You want an environment that gives you peace instead of chaos. These desires are spiritual signals. Heaven is shaping your appetite so that when your breakthrough comes, you'll know how to steward it, protect it, and multiply it rather than sabotage it. The deeper this rewiring goes, the more you begin to understand why certain things in your past didn't work out. You were never meant to settle for smallness. You were never meant to shrink yourself to maintain someone else's comfort. You were never meant to fit into a life that limited your calling. Everything that fell apart was making room for what was meant to come together later. Everything that was removed was clearing space for the blessing that would one day arrive. You were not being punished, you were being preserved. And now something within you can feel that preservation beginning to unfold. There is a quiet pull toward your future, a steady awareness that something is aligning in the unseen. You may not know what it is yet, but you can sense that heaven is preparing a moment that will shift everything. Opportunities are forming, doors are being prepared, people are being positioned, and you are being shaped to handle what is coming, not as who you used to be, but as who you are finally becoming. Chosen one. This is where faith becomes your compass. You may not see the full picture, but something in your spirit knows you are entering an appointed season. Heaven is preparing you for a blessing that requires emotional maturity, spiritual clarity, and inner stability. You are not being transformed for a temporary breakthrough. You are being conditioned for a breakthrough that carries longevity, legacy, and divine purpose. This blessing will not simply elevate your finances, it will elevate your identity. It will not merely shift your circumstances, it will shift your entire posture toward life. You will not just receive something new, you will become someone new, someone who handles abundance with wisdom, someone who walks in purpose with clarity, someone who carries influence without arrogance, someone who moves with confidence anchored in heaven, not ego. You are being formed into someone your destiny has been waiting for. This is why the rewiring feels intense. God is not preparing you for a blessing you can lose. He is preparing you for a blessing you can build, a blessing you can sustain, a blessing you can carry without breaking. You are entering the greatest transformation of your life, and heaven is nowhere near finished. Chosen one. As this divine rewiring pushes you further into alignment with your calling, you may find your entire inner landscape shifting in ways that are both unsettling and strangely peaceful. This is because heaven is not only preparing you for what is coming, heaven is also detoxing you from what cannot come with you. This stage of your transformation is not about addition, it is about purification. It is about removing the weight, the noise, the patterns, and the emotional signatures that once defined your days but no longer match the frequency of your future. You may have noticed recently that your spirit rejects things more quickly. A conversation that feels draining you withdraw from. A person whose energy feels heavy, you sense it instantly. Habits that dull your clarity suddenly feel intolerable. Even environments that once felt normal now feel spiritually cluttered. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is refinement. Heaven is sharpening your inner warning system so you can recognize misalignment long before it becomes entanglement. You are being trained to protect your destiny the same way you protect your peace. As this internal refinement deepens, you may also notice a rising detachment from external validation. Where you once needed reassurance, now you crave truth. Where you once sought approval, now you value alignment. Where you once wanted to fit in, now you feel called to stand out, not out of rebellion, but out of purpose. This detachment is holy. It marks the shift from living reactively to living intentionally, from living for expectations to living from revelation. You are becoming someone who moves by divine instruction rather than human pressure. Chosen one. This stage of your rewiring also affects your emotional world. Old wounds are resurfacing not to torment you, but to release you. Memories you thought you had forgotten rise to the surface because they finally feel safe enough to be healed. All the places where hurt once lived are being opened so God can fill them with clarity, closure, and strength. The tears you've shed recently were not breakdowns, they were purifications. Your heart is being emptied of the narratives that made you small so it can receive the truths that make you powerful. And while this emotional purification can feel overwhelming at times, you must understand that heaven is not trying to expose your pain. Heaven is trying to eliminate its influence. The version of you that will walk into the next season must be emotionally free, spiritually grounded, and mentally clear. You cannot carry bitterness into a breakthrough. You cannot carry unresolved grief into divine elevation. You cannot carry emotional exhaustion into a season of abundance. And so, heaven is lightening you gently but firmly, preparing you for a life where joy is sustainable, not momentary. Anointed One. The rewiring is also evident in your relationship with time. You may feel less rushed, less panicked, less pressured to meet artificial deadlines. Instead, you feel yourself moving at a steadier rhythm. This is because heaven is teaching you divine pacing. You are learning that not everything good is meant for now, and not everything delayed is meant for later. Timing is becoming a spiritual instinct, not a source of anxiety. And the more you surrender to divine timing, the more you feel the universe rearranging itself to meet you where you are going. This new relationship with time is also why you've been feeling a stronger pull to prepare, even without knowing what you're preparing for. You've felt the urge to organize your space, refine your habits, simplify your routines, or reset your priorities. You've felt a strange urgency to get your life in order, even though nothing external is forcing you to change. This urgency is spiritual. It is the intuitive knowing that something is coming and you must be ready in spirit, in mind, and in body. Heaven prepares the chosen long before the world sees the arrival. And perhaps the most powerful sign of this stage is the way your vision is expanding. You're starting to imagine differently, dream differently, ask differently. Your prayers have shifted from survival to strategy, from fear to faith. You're beginning to think in terms of legacy, not just comfort. You feel a pull toward a life that is bigger than your history and greater than your circumstances. This is not fantasy, it is foresight. Your spirit has already glimpsed what your mind has not yet processed. Chosen One. You are being shaped into someone who can hold influence without losing humility, carry wealth without losing wisdom, and walk in purpose without losing peace. Everything in you is rising: your clarity, your discernment, your endurance, your authority. You are being refined into the clearest, strongest, most aligned version of yourself you have ever been. This is not the end of your rewiring, but it is the moment where you begin to recognize who you are becoming. And heaven is just getting started. Chosen One, as the divine rewiring moves into its higher rhythm, you may feel something within you settling not into comfort, but into clarity. A quiet knowing has begun to rise, a sense that you are no longer who you were even a few months ago. The inner noise has softened, the fear has loosened its grip, and your spirit is starting to stand taller inside of you. This is the emergence of spiritual readiness. Heaven has been shaping you in silence, and now your inner world is finally catching up with what God already declared. Anointed One. The confidence you feel is not the result of self-improvement. It is the fruit of divine transformation. You are thinking differently, perceiving differently, responding differently, because heaven has shifted you into a new spiritual dimension. The fears that once froze you now feel small. The doubts that once held weight now dissolve at the first breath of truth. You're beginning to realize that the battles you fought were never meant to break you, they were meant to reveal who you truly are. As this rewiring expands, so does your vision. Dreams that once intimidated you now feel like instructions. Purposes that once felt too big now feel like destiny calling your name. You're not imagining this shift. Your spirit is stepping into alignment with what heaven has prepared. You can sense opportunities drawing nearer, guidance becoming clearer, and favor beginning to respond to your obedience. Chosen one, you are also noticing the way peace accompanies you now. Not a passive peace, but a powerful one, the kind that holds you steady in uncertainty and anchors you when the world shakes. This peace is a sign that your identity is being secured in God's timing rather than your own striving. You no longer chase what doesn't belong to you. You no longer cling to what heaven is releasing. You are learning how to move with divine flow instead of human pressure. And perhaps the greatest sign of all is this: hope has returned. Real hope. Hope that doesn't depend on circumstances. Hope that comes from knowing that what is meant for you cannot miss you. You are beginning to feel it, the nearness of breakthrough, the weight of purpose, the approach of something holy. Chosen one. The rewiring is almost complete. Your spirit is ready. Your mind is aligning. Your steps are guided. And what is coming toward you. Chosen one, as we come to the close of this message, pause for a moment and recognize what is happening within you. This is not emotion. This is not imagination. This is your spirit awakening to the truth that heaven has already begun moving on your behalf. The rewiring you feel is the evidence that a supernatural transfer is already stepping toward you, aligning itself with your exact Kairos moment. You are standing inside divine timing, and nothing can pull you out of it. Anointed one, may your strength be renewed, may your peace be anchored, and may your spirit remain sensitive to the quiet instructions heaven is releasing. What God has begun in your body, your mind, and your destiny will not be reversed. You are being prepared to carry more, to see more, to become more. The glory rising in you is not temporary, it is transformational. As you step back into your day walk with the awareness that favor is following you, provision is moving toward you, and breakthrough is aligning itself with the steps you have not yet taken. Hold your posture. Guard your spirit. Stay in the flow of what God is doing within you. And look ahead with gratitude, because what is forming is greater than what you prayed for. If this word touched your spirit, chosen one, you may write, "I receive this divine renewal," as your declaration of agreement. And if you desire to continue walking in messages of alignment and awakening, you are welcome to stay connected. Until next time, may God's presence surround you, may His joy strengthen you, and may His hand guide you into everything heaven has appointed for your life.